It's time for Solutions for Seniors to Be, here on WATD. Here to help make your golden years golden, offering guidance on programs and services available to you and your loved ones in your retirement. Now, here's your host, Chris Shea.
I've been in the right place.
Happy Sunday morning, everyone. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day. Football is coming to a close. The Patriots are not playing anymore. There are playoff games today, and I hope you are going to watch them if you're interested. And if you're not, go out and do something fun. Should be a pretty good day. In relation to Solutions for Seniors, I meet a lot of people, a lot of interesting people, a lot of cool people. And I met this woman a little over a year ago, and she is one of those people that I think is pretty darn cool. Annette Reynolds. She is here in the Metro Boston area, and I'm going to let her introduce a little bit about herself before we get into our conversation. So, Annette, why do you think I think that you're so darn cool sometimes?
Oh my goodness, you shouldn't give me a lead-in like that.
I give the appropriate lead-in.
Okay, well, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here this morning, Chris. I'm really looking forward to the football games later today. But we met at a social event, and we started talking about each other, and you said, "What do you do?" And I said, instead of retiring 15 years ago, I decided I wanted to set up a real estate brokerage. And while we work with anybody who's looking to buy or sell a home, I really like working with my compatriots, those who, like me, should have retired 15 or so years ago, but are out here working, having fun. But I know that many people of my age are looking for another transition.
Yep. So I'm going to stop you there because I'm going to ask you a quick question as the financial advisor. What is your definition of retirement?
It's the ability to spend the day any way you wish.
Okay. I go a little bit more specifically in that. I say it's ability to do what you want, when you want, with no concern for how much money you make.
Yeah, that works too.
Yep.
I agree with you there.
Yep. So when you say 15 years ago you retired and you decided to do something else, that is perfectly fine, and that is something that I tell people they need to do something in their life, whether it's another career that it brings in income or if it's just a hobby that they can afford to do. They got to do something. Otherwise, they're just going to sit on the couch, watch Netflix, Disney Plus, and waste away quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was working at a large real estate brokerage, and I had stopped selling full-time, and I was training and coaching new agents, helping them to become more productive. And the office manager, I like to tell everybody she's an old lady. She's now 72 years old. Okay. She decided to retire, and this is about 4 years ago. And then we set up Team Impressa. And we're just going to be two women having fun, helping people either achieve their dreams one way or another. And it's worked out pretty well. We're having a blast.
Yeah. Every time I see you at various networking events, there's a smile on your face, and you're having a blast, doing things to help people out. And it's become one of those things where I no longer, when you're at these events, you don't even talk about your real estate much anymore, because I think you've moved on to trying to do something a little bit bigger than just real estate. Even though that doesn't seem like there could be much more for people, there can be.
Real estate happens. And I guess if I have any big complaint is the fact that too many real estate agents aren't trained well enough, and they focus on making or trying to make people buy or sell homes. And that's not really what this business is.
No, it's not.
No.
My mom was a realtor for 35 years.
That's right. I remember.
And she said the goal wasn't to sell her house. The goal was to make somebody realize their options and make the best choice possible.
And there's something so exciting when you have this young couple who are buying their first home together, and helping people go from, hey, my wife's pregnant, we need something bigger, from a 600 square foot condo in downtown Boston to someplace that meets their needs where they can raise their family. And as we get older, we think about, do we really want to own this single-family home? Or do we want something that's more amenable to our needs? Which is interesting because my business partner, Lynn, downsized. She moved from Chestnut Hill out to Wayland and put a big chunk of money in the bank when she did that. That was her definition of downsizing. I'm in my 13th house since I've been married. And I swear they'll carry me out feet first. There is no way I'm packing things up and moving it again. I'm staying. But for people my age, now, I'm extremely blessed. I'm in good health.
Yep.
Whatever needs to be fixed was fixed. I run up and down the steps. But if I didn't have that, I may reconsider where I want to live.
Circumstances.
Of course.
Definitely
of course.
are a thing for people, right? My parents, they both, the last place they lived was their house. We had to sell their house after my mom passed away 3 years ago. And it was, selling the home was kind of challenging, given the fact that a tree fell on it and it's part of the estate and you've got the whole, it gets a little bit more complicated when the estate's involved and it's not just a personal thing. But once we got on the market, it was sold pretty darn quickly and it was very transactional. And I know that when we had originally, right after my mom had passed away, my first thought was she'd like to have a house or have people buy the house that we're going to have a young family that we're going to start out, because it was a nice 4-bedroom house in Hanover, 2,300 square feet plus, beautiful home. It was designed for a family. And then as 2 years later, as we're getting ready to sell it, I was like, let's just get rid of it. I really don't care who moves in, as long as it's not something that because we have to move on, right? The passing away has happened. We got to move on. The estate actually, unfortunately, still isn't settled almost 3 years later, but that's due to circumstances. But real estate, you're right, it just does happen at the right time. And when people are looking, they find stuff. I have a client actually that wasn't looking for a new house, and the plot of land opened up right where they wanted it, and they plopped down the money to buy it. Now they got to figure out how to finance it and stuff. But real estate is one of those things that throughout the course of your life, it just happens.
Well, yes, and what's interesting when I'm listening to the story about your parents in the house, many people think that life just goes on and you live. Those of us who look at it a little bit more closely say, hey, maybe I'd better do some planning.
Yeah.
What happens if?
Yep.
What happens if I lose my job? Do I have the money in the bank to support me and the family for 6 months to a year until I can get back on my feet? What happens if, as a young couple, something happens to me and I can't take care of my kids? Have I said to somebody, would you take care of my children if anything happens to me? And as a senior, what happens if I get sick? I can't climb the steps anymore. What happens if I die and the kids don't know what I want to do?
Or no, worse than that is what happens if I get sick and the kids don't know what I want to do.
Exactly. And as a planning technique, I like to talk about the 7 Ps of a job well done. And this can be appropriate for lifetime, too.
All right.
You ready?
I'm ready for the 7 Ps.
Proper prior planning prevents piss-poor performance.
All right. That's 7.
That's 7. In other words, look ahead. What can be?
Yeah.
And a lot of people live in a bubble. Nothing bad's ever going to happen. I don't have to worry about these. And the truth is, that isn't always realistic. And so when somebody is considering leaving their home, going to another living situation. Maybe it's a smaller home, maybe it's a condo, maybe it's a continuing care retirement community, maybe it's assisted living. If you plan ahead, it makes the transition much easier. Get the pieces in place and then move forward.
You'll get no argument from me. I tell people all the time, the best time to start planning is today, after 20 years ago, which was really the best time to start planning.
Yeah.
Because if everything's a reaction to what happened, you make bad decisions.
Or you limit your options.
Right. What I was going to say is you make bad decisions as opposed to making good choices.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have the ability to make choices, that means you're picking from whatever you want. Usually when you have to make a decision, it's A, B, or maybe even C potentially. But you're very limited in what your options are in terms of how you want to proceed going forward. And that, I think, the last 3 Ps, piss poor planning, will contribute to a lot of consternation and stress for people.
It's sometimes difficult to look ahead. And, look at it this way. Let's just say I become ill. I end up going to a nursing home. I run out of money.
Yep.
Okay. Well, the nursing home will get Medicaid to pay for me, but Medicaid's going to look at whatever assets I have, and that could include my house. And I had planned to give it to my kids.
Yep.
Because there's a look-back period. It's the same thing.
5 years.
5 years. And I don't know what's going to happen to me 5 years from now, but you better believe I spoke to a lawyer. I'm going to make sure that my kids get the house.
Right.
And sometimes it's this feeling of invincibility that we have, or not wanting to believe bad things can happen. And sometimes it's a lack of knowledge. And what I have found is when I call the lawyers, I call the financial people ahead of time, they let me know what the circumstances are so I can plan properly so my kids get the house.
Yeah. And I think a lot of it is people don't think that bad things are going to happen to them. They only happen to other people. And that everything's going to be rosy. And then why do you want to bring those potential bad things in your life? You know, it's kind of like that superstition, like knock on wood. Like, if I don't talk about it, it's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Well, the reality is, and you bring up, what happens if you can't care for your family. I tell people all the time, 1 in 4 people are going to get disabled at some point in time when they're working professionals. If you are sitting in a room and we're looking around and I can see 4 people, 1 in the 4 of us is going to be disabled at some point in time in our lives working, which means you've got a lack of income, which means who knows what that means for you. If you're properly prepared and, like you said, you have 3-6 a year's worth of cash reserves to pay for things, you're going to be okay. If you've got less than $1,000 in the bank, which is what more than half of Americans have, statistically speaking, that's a challenge.
Yeah. So, being the wonderful person I am, the pleasant person that you met, I've actually tried to address some of that. And I do a lot of networking and meeting people who help people my age. And remember I said my business partner is an old lady at 72? I'm 6 years older than she is.
Yeah, so you're a spring chicken.
Don't go there. But, I've actually set up a referral website.
So let's get to that in a minute. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we'll be back to talk about some of this other stuff that you do with your referral groups. Are you fit to retire? I'm Chris Shea, financial advisor with BPS Financial Services in Marshfield. I work with clients to create a 100-day plan that can help get you started so that you can get the most out of your retirement. You've worked your whole life towards your goal of retirement. Let BPS Financial Services put together a plan that will help you enjoy your retirement. Find out how a 100-day plan tailored to you can help you get started in your retirement at fit2retire.com/Chris-Shea or call 781-733-5996. That's 781-733-5996. And now for my fast red disclosure, as this has been compliance approved.
Chris Shea is a registered representative offering securities and advisory services offered through Cetera Advisor Networks, LLC, member FINRA/SIPC, a broker-dealer and registered investment advisor. Cetera is under separate ownership from any other named entity, located at 752 Ocean Street, Marshfield, Massachusetts, 02050.
That's 781-733-5996. All right, well, welcome back. Hopefully everyone enjoyed hearing me talk about Fit to Retire, which is kind of, I think, appropriate as the platform looks to help people to figure out how to do the things around their money, their self-identity, social, health, nutrition, personal relationships. And I don't do any of that for anyone. I refer that out to people to help with that area, which as we were heading into that, you were talking about what you do to try and help people find their resources. So why don't you tell us about seniororbit.us?
Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Well, a couple of years ago, my business partner Lynn and I were going to senior centers and doing a program called Downsize or Stay. And we've helped a number of people make this decision and move from wherever they were to wherever they wanted to be. And during the course of all this, we learned that it's not as easy as it sounds and that people need help. And we're trying to we are aggregating help into one website. It's called seniororbit.us. And I've asked people who help in the senior community to let me use their information, put it on the site, and so that people can go there and find resources.
Yep.
It's really that simple. And I started out, are you going to downsize? Because these are the resources that you'll need. We've got organizers. We've got places where you can donate or get rid of your stuff. You know, it's interesting.
It's a big deal to get rid of your stuff.
Oh, there are only two really issues if you decide to downsize: money and stuff. And when we speak to people, stuff seems to be the bigger challenge.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. I mean, I've said this out loud on the radio a few times. 6 30-yard dumpsters of stuff from my parents' house. That doesn't include what I gave away to the Salvation Army and other places that was decent, which was probably 6 or 7 carloads of just glassware and things like that they were lovely. I just don't have room for them in my life, and
Well, I've started using my crystal every day. I decide the kids aren't going to take it. And
that's a good thing.
Well, might as well.
Yeah.
It was interesting. My mother died about 6 years ago. My sister took care. She didn't have that much stuff, but she had stuff. And then when my sister decided to move down to Florida, I inherited a 12-piece set of Noritake china that my father sent from Japan in 1951.
So it's new.
As good as new. Excuse me. And my mother collected Hummels. Hummels are figurines. A lot of people don't know what they are. And I had some of those. And I'm looking at these. I said, what in the world am I going to do with all these Hummels? Well, let me tell you how I got rid of this stuff.
All right. I'm listening.
I told everybody I have a mint set of Noritake china. No gold. It's dishwasher safe. And a friend of my grandchild said, I can use that.
Yeah.
So she got those. And then on Facebook, it's a wonderful way to connect. I have literally dozens of cousins in Colorado. That's another whole story. I'll do another session on that, Chris.
Colorado clans?
That sounds good. But one of my cousins said, I love Hummels. I couldn't get to Home Depot to get the bubble wrap fast enough.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Excuse me. And I had that wrapped up and in the mail in 2 days.
Yeah.
But I just put it out there. I've also used places like Household Goods in Acton, and there are places in Boston, I'm sure here on the South Shore, where they take the donations and they help people who are leaving homelessness and starting in a new place, a number of places like that, and some of them are listed on the website.
Yeah.
So the downsizing is tough. There are organizers there.
Yep. Well, I think that the hardest part that I've found for the downsizing is people's belief that their memories are tied to the things, right? So my dad passed away 4 years before my mother did, and my dad was Santa Claus, 6'1", 300 pounds.
Yeah. You had his costume?
Oh, he did it for the Massachusetts State Police. There's pictures of him hanging out of a helicopter, doing it for Cardinal Cushing in the area, in Hanover. And I am all of 5'9" and 190 pounds. And my mother would insist upon trying to give me my dad's clothes. And I'm like, Mom, I love Dad. Just doesn't fit. Like, it just doesn't work.
But it was more than clothing. It was.
But she didn't want to give away. But so the clothes sat in the corner, and she didn't want to give them away. And I'm like, Mom, like, the clothes aren't Dad. They're just something that we have other memories of him. Like, we can just get rid of the stuff that you think reminds you, but that doesn't really remind you, because I've gotten rid of all my parents' household stuff. Yet I still remember them clear as day, without the stuff.
Yeah, it's a challenge, and again, there are ways of handling it with care.
And it's almost impossible, too, for a family member, a.k.a. a child, to tell their parents to get rid of the stuff.
No.
Because it just, the message and receive. Like, again, I'm a financial advisor. I tried to help my mom with her finances and getting stuff ready. It was, she still saw me as the 8-year-old kid.
Of course.
Who didn't know my elbow from my knee. Exactly. So it can be a challenge for people to try and help their parents to get through some of these challenges. And they need these third-party resources to come in and nudge the process along.
Mm-hmm. And again, as I said, money or stuff. The stuff is one challenge. Eventually gets taken care of. The money, that's something else again. And that's in your bailiwick as well. Yep. And there are ways. Let me back up a second. When I talk to somebody about why they're selling, I had one gentleman in Boston said, I want to sell my condo. My partner has been ill. We need to get money for medical expenses.
Yes, whatever.
Okay. And so we walked through what his place was worth, and I said, well, after you sell this and get the money and help your partner, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to buy another condo just like this one. And I'm thinking, no, you're not going to be able to. And so a solution for him would have been something like, they call them HECMs, or reverse mortgages, where he could pull the equity out of his home. And again,
because you can't eat your house.
You can't eat your house, and if you don't have a regular stream of income, you can't get a HELOC, a home equity line of credit, because they want to pay back. But you can access the equity in your home. It's just one tactic so that you can stay where you want and live comfortably. Yeah. I don't promote reverse mortgages, but they're a very useful tool for some people. Yeah. And frankly, Chris, if you came to me and you were old and you said, this is what I want to do, if that's the best solution for you, that's the best solution for you, and I'm not going to tell you to sell your house.
Yeah. No, HECMs are fantastic things. They and I have friends that do reverse mortgages, quote unquote, and I'm like, the whole problem with the reverse mortgage thing is an emotional thing for people.
Of course.
And the person that specialized in this was like, what do you mean? I said, well, when people think about a mortgage, that's how you buy your house. And then when they hear reverse mortgage, they think that's how you sell your house, or you lose your house. When that is not the reality at all. It taps into the equity. You don't lose your home. It's still your home. When you sell it, there's a portion that might have to go in terms of the funds to pay back everything. But it can be a very useful tool, and that's all it is a tool. Mm-hmm. And I don't get paid any money to do HECMs or reverse mortgages. But I tell people, just because they have a bad rap doesn't mean they might not be good for your circumstances.
Well, that was before they were so highly regulated.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I know a number of mortgage people who handle them. They're ethical. They do it right. It is a solution. It may not be the best solution. So if you go to seniorbit.us and you look under finances,
Help with finances is one of the headers. Right next to help with stuff and help with legal things.
and help with legal things, I mean, these are really important things to do. If you decide to stay in your home, we've spoken to people who've considered putting in an elevator, and everybody looks at me very strangely when I say that, because not every home is amenable to it.
Right.
But I usually say a crappy little house in Waltham. It's not the finest, but it serves us very well, but
Yeah.
it's worth $750,000. And if I needed an elevator and I had to spend $50,000, guess what? It's a small portion.
Right.
So it's a matter sometimes of just changing our mindset a bit. If you look on staying, you will see architects who help you retrofit your home. You'll see a company that will come in and do a safety assessment for you and make recommendations and add ramps or whatever you need.
Yeah.
So-
There's a lot of companies out there that do that. They,
Yeah.
they come in and do a inspection of the property and say, hey, look, what's going on with your house, and is there a way to install safety bars? Is there a way to change the tub so that it's not something you have to walk over, but something you just walk in?
Yeah. So when somebody's saying, I think I want to stay, I'm not sure if I want to, maybe I want to move, the idea is to come to Senior Orbit and get as much information as you can from the professionals in the various fields so that you can make an educated decision with you and your family, if you wish. We include them as well.
Yep.
And get the advice of the experts.
Right. So I talk to people very frequently, and they'll espouse to have some great knowledge about personal finances, and I'll be like, where'd you hear that? And they'll be like, oh, well, I heard it from this aeronautical engineer or somebody else that they think is really smart. And it's like, great. Like, that's fantastic, and I would never question what they do for their job. However, I've been in the industry for about 15 years now, and there are things that I come across on a regular basis that are new in the financial world that I am learning about on a constant basis. Mm-hmm. So if people think that they know everything about something that they're not a professional at, they probably need to talk to somebody who is in that professional field and get some good advice, which is why I love your website so much. So we are coming to the end of our time here. How would someone get in touch with Annette Reynolds to get some more information or get some extra assistance?
Chris, thank you for asking. I'd like to tell people just go to Ms. Google and type in Annette Reynolds, Massachusetts, and on the first 2 pages. But if you want something a little bit more direct, you can email me at Annette@teamimpressa.com, or you can just call me on my cell phone at 617-306-2906, and I do pick up my phone.
Yeah. And she also has, you have your website, once again.
teamimpressa.com.
And
downsizeorstay.com.
And
seniorbit.us.
Right. To find Annette and see if she can help you. And I don't say this, you've hinted at your age. Sometimes when you hear it from somebody who's 50 years old like myself, you don't believe it. But if you hear it from someone of your own generation, that might be someone that you want to talk to, right?
I hope so, because too many real estate agents focus on the house. We like to speak to the people and find out what's best for them.
Yeah, because if it's got to be what's in your best interest, and not just to move a piece of property. But this has been fantastic. A pleasure on a Sunday morning. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and everything goes well. We do have the car guy coming up soon, so hope everyone has a fantastic Sunday.
Thank you, Chris. Until the next time.
I've been in the right place, but it must have been the wrong time. I done said the right thing, but it must have used the wrong line.